The other aspect too that I've seen, a big change, is also within the family dynamics where,
Hmm.
fatherhood is being missed.
Yeah.
That's been really a big dynamic, at least for me, and an important part of being a leader, as educational leader, of really trying to help our fathers understand the importance that they have in the education of their children and also in their personal lives. So that's
Yeah.
another aspect on besides just technology. But on the other flip side, it's the parents, that
Yeah.
really, especially in the fathers, that really have changed.
Yeah.
And for me, as being an educator, for so many years, and being a dad and now grandfather, it's very important for me to understand the importance of fatherhood and
Yeah.
what that means in the life of our students.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Parenting Teens Today. I'm your host, Adam Episcopo, and today we're very lucky to have a gentleman who's worked in the education system for over 36 years. He's been an administrator, he's been a department head, he's been a teacher, pastor, coach. He is known as the entrepreneurial hands-on leader, the one and only Edward Limon. Ed, thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, how you doing, Adam? How you doing, man?
Doing great, doing great. So let's just dive into this, Ed. You got so
Yeah,
much experience, and you've worked so much in the 3 decades with teens in classrooms, on the field,
yeah,
in the ministry.
yeah.
What are some of the biggest changes? And I'm sure there's been a lot. The biggest changes you've seen in teenagers over the years?
Oh, wow. Let's put it this way. I go back as far as when I remember when computers were first introduced into the classrooms.
Yeah,
Okay. And I was thinking
yeah.
as a teacher going, oh, this is awesome, man. That's when that new Apple was coming in. And it was like,
Hmm.
oh, this is awesome.
I
So
remember
that's
like
how far,
all
that's
the
how far I
different
go back.
color, all the different color
Exactly.
monitors. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that time too. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so I would say that in those years from the time that we saw the uprise of computers
Hmm.
and technology, that has really changed the educational system and has
Yeah.
changed our families as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm currently reading a book, The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Hoyt, and
Hmm.
it is a great book as it's really showing us a lot of the issues that are out there amongst teenagers when it
Hmm.
comes to this issue of technology.
Hmm.
And I would say that that has been one of the biggest, huge things that I've seen in the educational system here in these last, 30 plus years is the use of technology and the influence that it's having on our young people.
Definitely, I would agree. And as far as cell phones, I want to ask about your school and how you
Ooh.
guys have kind of treated that. You're in California, correct?
We're Cali, yeah,
Yeah.
California, Southern Cal.
So at Arcadia Christian School, where you're at, and
Yeah.
you're serving as the principal, what have you guys done for the phones, and has that been an issue for your students, or what have kind of some things you've done to keep them focused, I guess, in the classroom?
Yeah, it's a right now that's one of the reasons why I'm reading The Anxious Generation.
Mm.
I'm
Hmm.
taking my teachers through that book right now.
Mm.
And the goal is to eventually share it to our parents as well. And
Hmm.
our next goal is to literally eliminate phones on our campus.
Mm.
And because we're finding that it's becoming a big distraction, unfortunately, within our student population, where
Yeah.
even if you get the little buzz, the kids are unfortunately it's in their bag, they're being distracted still,
Yeah.
and they're not allowed to bring it out during lunchtime. They're not allowed to bring it out during school time, but teenagers and they're going to push the envelope, they're going to push the limit, and so yeah, it becomes a distraction, unfortunately. And
Yeah. And unfortunately, they don't really stand a chance. I mean, the algorithm with these all the
yeah.
apps and everything, it just keeps
Oh
it's
yeah.
triggered to just keep you sucked in there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I know they've introduced. I know my stepson at his school, they have the yonder pouches, and they have different ways now they can kind of curve
Yeah.
the phones from being a distraction. But yeah, it's a crazy time, and
Yeah.
just the way that but at the same time, like you can't blame them. This is the time they were growing up in.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so that's great that you guys are trying to do these
Yeah.
things to help with that situation because
Yeah.
yeah, I know it can be a difficult thing to tackle.
Yeah.
Um, so as the
Yeah.
dean of students, and now, oh, go ahead. Sorry, you're gonna go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the other aspect too that I've seen, a big change, is also within the family dynamics where,
Hmm.
fatherhood is being missed.
Yeah.
That's been really a big dynamic, at least for me, and an important part of being a leader, as educational leader, of really trying to help our fathers understand the importance that they have in the education of their children and also in their personal lives. So that's
Yeah.
another aspect on besides just technology. But on the other flip side, it's the parents, that
Yeah.
really, especially in the fathers, that really have changed.
Yeah.
And for me, as being an educator, for so many years, and being a dad and now grandfather, it's very important for me to understand the importance of fatherhood and
Yeah.
what that means in the life of our students. Because when you have a good, strong father in the home, you're going to have a good, strong home. And if you have a good, strong home, you're going to have a good, strong student, good, strong children.
Hmm.
And but it all stems from a dad,
Yeah.
So I've seen that change as well. In the
Those family values are so important nowadays. It's
Yeah,
something that I feel a lot of parents have trouble with, and it's establishing that, hey, this is how we do it here. This is how we do it in our household.
correct.
I don't care what Jimmy and Timmy are doing down the street with their family. That's their business. But when you come
Right.
home here, this is how we handle things. And some those are you have to have those hard conversations, those difficult conversations sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with it right now with I have my 13-year-old stepson of mine, and the cell phone, like we've been talking
Yeah,
about,
there you go.
putting it away at night, getting it out of the bedroom. You got to put it out here. You got to charge it
That's
out of the room at night. You can't keep. I'm going to use it as an alarm. Yeah, right. I don't believe you. You know. So,
yeah.
but I
So
agree
be
with
a
you. That
strong dad, Adam. Be a
yeah,
strong dad, man.
you got to put your foot down. You have to have those
That's
difficult conversations. So
right.
it's tough. So I want to start from the beginning for you. Was
Yeah.
being in the education system, being in this world, was that always the dream of you growing up? What was
Mm,
give me kind of like the origin story, how you kind of landed in this as now the principal?
yeah. Yeah. It started off. I've always felt like a calling to young people, working with young people,
Mm-hmm.
and even at a young age, even going through college as well, I had always focused on working with young people. I studied to be a youth pastor, and here in Southern California. And so my heart or my mindset was in the ministry, and that was to be a youth pastor, to be a pastor amongst the young people. It changed a little bit, which was interesting because I remember I went back to my alma mater,
Mm.
high school, which had a Christian school on the campus. It was sponsored by a church. And
Yeah.
so when I graduated college, I went and became a youth pastor there at that church. And
Okay.
so I knew a lot of people. Some of the pastoral staff saw me grow up. They knew me as Eddie, and so and I remember the superintendent who had saw me grow up from kindergarten all the way through the program, pulled me aside one day and says, Ed, you would make a great teacher. And I
Wow.
remember laughing at him. I'm going, no, you're curious. No way, man. I hate school. No way. No way. Why are we going back to school? I'm done with school. And
Yeah.
he goes, no, you'd make a great teacher.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, to this day, I'm still in contact with him. And
Wow.
I joke about it with him. I go, you planted that seed in me, even at
Yeah.
that moment when I didn't even know. And
Wow.
so later on, a couple of years after that, I started teaching and really fell in love with it. And especially when I first taught my first high school class,
Hmm.
I was given it was a Bible class, and so I fell in love with it. I fell in
Yeah.
love with teaching. I was like, this is what I've been called to do, and really started enjoying teaching. And I would think probably in the last probably about 10 years or so
Hmm.
that has been changing a little bit, where
Mm.
now my desire is to now train teachers
Mm.
and to pour into teachers so that they themselves can be effective in the classroom, and just passing along to them what I've learned as a teacher, as a teacher, and how they can impact their students' lives.
I love that. What are some of like the main skills or the main things you for any new teachers that are going to be coming and maybe potentially working at your school? What are like some of the top just the core principles that you try to focus to teach them when they're getting started?
Yeah, it's to get one, your teacher. let's see, I always tell my students this is that, listen, I am not your friend. I am your teacher first and your friend
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big mistakes a lot of young teachers that are getting into the profession do is that, hey, I
Hmm.
want to be your buddy, let's be best friends, besties. No, I'm sorry. You are an authority figure in their life, and you've been given an opportunity to speak into their life.
Hmm.
And so, because there's that authority figure, right now, I am your teacher first. We'll be friends second. And I've
Yeah.
always told my students that once you graduate, then it changes. Now we can become friends and I'll be your teacher second. And it's been wonderful. I am still in contact with former students
That's
who will
awesome.
give me a text or give me a call, or, we'll get together because there has been a respect that has been planted from me being their teacher, and now I'm their friend. And so I think that's one aspect. Another thing is to get into the lives of their young people, go to their games, you
Yeah.
know, get plugged into their lives. I can't tell you how many times that has impacted my students' lives when they hear a cheer from Mr. Limon, say, hey, you got it, man. Come on, let's go,
Yeah.
Johnny. You got this,
Yeah.
or just cheering them on, and then coming back the next day say, dude, that game was awesome, man. Let me tell you, it's an awesome opportunity to be able to just be there and to shower them, that unexpected hello. And then
Hmm.
the next thing I think as well is the opportunity is leaving the door open,
Mm.
meaning that my classroom door is always open. It was always open. During lunchtime it was never closed. There were moments where I was like, you know what, I just need a break right now.
Yeah.
Let's turn off
Yeah.
the lights. Shh, don't tell anybody around right now. you know I just need a break. But majority of the time my door was open.
Yeah.
And the kids knew that, and they were able to go ahead and just sit in my room and just have lunch or just to shoot the breeze. And just those small little things
Hmm.
really lay down a foundation to be able to go ahead and pour into the lives, because I believe that if you build relationships with the young people
Hmm.
and they're solid, and kids know if you're fake. That's the other thing. Kids know if you are fake.
Hmm.
And so, but if you're real with them and you're there just to go ahead and shoot the breeze, or be that teacher, let me tell you, it's going to open up the door for opportunity to
Yeah.
be able to go ahead and teach them. Because if you speak to their if you just speak to their I'm sorry, if you speak to their mind,
Hmm.
you'll always win their heart.
Yeah.
No, and
Love that.
that's really what I try to incorporate within our teachers as well. As listen, I'm sorry, speak to their heart, and you'll always win their mind. My bad, I switched that. My bad.
It's okay.
You
It's okay.
speak to
I
their
got you.
heart.
I
Yeah, you
got you.
speak to their heart. They're going to listen, and
Yeah.
and then that lesson's going to be a little bit easier down the road.
I love that mentality you have about how you give that to your students. It's like that classic saying: the students may not remember everything you taught them in the
That's
classroom,
right.
but they are going to remember how you made them feel inside,
That's right.
and that
That's
how
right.
you like you said, showing up to the games, like, oh wow, such and such is watching me, cheer me on.
That's
Keeping
right.
that open door policy, for the most part, even though sometimes you want that privacy, I get it, but keeping that open
Yeah.
door open. Hey, come on in. Let's have lunch together. Let's talk.
Yeah.
What's going on? And I love that too that you mentioned about not being their best. You can't be best friends. You can't be friends with them.
Right.
You're that authority that to them. That's the same thing we
Right.
kind of on our program, the Attitude Advantage, with our parents. A lot of
That's
parents want
right.
to be friends with their kids.
Yeah.
You can't.
No,
It's not sending the right message. You have to
that's right.
be that authoritative figure. You have to be able to put your foot down, have those difficult conversations. Otherwise, it's just not setting them up for success. So,
That's right.
I I
Exactly.
100% love everything you shared there. That's great. So I want to ask you. You obviously have worn many different hats:
Yeah.
pastor, educator, coach.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
how have those different experiences shaped your approach to mentoring and guiding young people? Because I mean, obviously, it's similar, I guess, with the coaching, with I mean, obviously, with the spiritual aspect of being a pastor. What are just some of
Yeah.
the different ways that you've been able to mentor and guide young people, and the differences and the different positions, I guess, you've held? If that question makes sense.
Yeah. Adam, for me, I'm just to be very upfront with you. My relationship with God is the most important thing in my life.
Mm.
And, ever since I was a young boy, I came to become a Christ follower. And that has always driven me.
Yeah.
That has always been very sensitive to who I am today.
Mm.
and why I do what I do. If it wasn't for God in my life, it wasn't for Christ in my life, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. To be honest with you, man, it's like I'd be doing something else.
Yeah.
But there's just such a passion and love that I really believe that God has given to me for young people that keeps me pressing forward. That's that for me is my foundation and my ultimate, I guess you could say, the center of my life,
Hmm.
because I believe that what I've seen in my young life as a young man who professed himself to be a Christ follower,
Hmm.
I've seen what Christ has done in my life. I've seen the benefits, in the sense of God's blessings in my life,
Hmm.
and I would never pass it up for the world. I've been a Christ follower now for, gosh, almost 48 years, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I've been
Yeah.
blessed. I really have. I've been blessed.
Yeah.
I've been blessed by a wonderful wife. I've been blessed by beautiful children. I've been blessed by now a new grandchild. I've been blessed. I look back at my life and I think, just the blessings that I've received, is amazing. That also means there's been hardships too. Doesn't
Hmm.
mean it's always all, this or that. There's also been hardships, but God has always been faithful. And that is really what I want to make sure that I share with my students.
Hmm.
Yes, they're not going to always remember, the certain passage, or they're not going to always remember this certain lesson, but they're going to see how Mr. Limon reacts in certain situations. They're
Hmm.
going to see and watch how Mr. Limon reacts towards his family, how he reacts towards his wife. They're going to see that.
Hmm.
And that for me is more important than anything, because I want them to see Christ in me. I
Hmm.
want them to see that, if I can do it, I know you can. And
Yeah.
if God is faithful for me, I know he can be faithful for you. I'm not a perfect man. I fall, but let me tell you, there's a desire within me that, I guess stems from even when I was a young boy. There was a passage that I came across, and it was Daniel 11:32, and it says, "A man who knows his God will have strength and do great exploits."
Mm.
And I wanted to get to know my God.
Yeah.
I just didn't want it just to be a Sunday school answer. I didn't want it to be just going to church, or some Bible story. I wanted to get to know him personally. And that's for, as a young boy, I was reading the Bible, even though maybe I didn't understand it all, but I read through it, and it's
Yeah.
grown to a point now as an adult where I just love reading the Bible. And I want kids to understand that in the midst of all that is going on, in the midst
Hmm.
of everything that's going on in life, God, there's a foundation that we can have on God when you put him first, and he is faithful.
Yeah.
And that's what I want kids, our students, to understand. That's what drives me, I guess you could say, of being involved in education, especially in Christian education for all these years, is
Yeah.
that drive to, yes, academically stretch their minds,
Hmm. Hmm.
train and equip them to have an
Yeah.
answer for that which they believe, but to also for them to see that, that this God thing's real. It's not
Yeah.
fake, and I'm not faking it. Like I said, if it wasn't real, man, I would be wasting my time. I wouldn't be here. Wouldn't be here, man.
I hear
So,
you. I hear you. I
yeah.
went to a Catholic high school, and I didn't
Okay.
go. I didn't. I was in the public schools all the way up till high school level. My dad was like, "You're going to Catholic school. You're either going to private school at Tampa Catholic, or you're going to Jesuit." And I was like, "I'll go to Tampa Catholic because it's co-ed. That sounds
There you
better
go.
to me." At the time, at least in my head, that was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go that route." But have you always worked in a school that has religion or teaches religion in a Christian, or have you been in the public school system?
Well, as an educator, it's
Yeah.
predominantly been in Christian education.
Got you.
I did, when I was coaching soccer. There
Hmm.
were two schools that I coached at that were public school, and they
Gotcha.
were awesome. I loved them.
Yeah.
It was just, right now my heart is really into discipling students and
Yeah.
really ministering to parents. That's why for me, I was sharing with you earlier,
Hmm.
fatherhood
Yeah.
becomes very important to me, because I believe there's a lack of fathers being involved in their students' lives, especially when it comes to to the education of their children.
100%. Yeah, I agree. You're at Arcadia Christian School, the school you're a principal at. What are the
Yeah.
grades? Is it high school level, or what is it? What does it go to there?
Yeah, we go preschool all the way through high school. We just started our high
Gotcha.
school 4 years ago.
Okay. Wow. Got it.
So Yeah, this school has been around for 80 years, Adam. 80
Wow.
years, brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm just carrying the tradition,
Yeah.
carrying the legacy. And 4 years ago, we started our high school program.
Okay.
And because
Gotcha.
there was a need, COVID hit, and that a lot of parents were questioning stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
and we really have a desire to disciple with our students. We're a classical school education, so we're going back to the classics,
Mm-hmm.
of our reading, and really challenge our students, especially when it comes into the upper school, in logic and rhetoric, and
Gotcha.
really training them and equipping them to have a voice and be confident when they speak. But that also comes not only in their academics, but also in their faith, because everybody has a worldview.
Yeah.
Our worldview shapes our values, and our values shape our behavior. And
100%.
so our worldview, that foundational biblical foundational worldview, is going to really create those values in our students. And we hope that as they grow older and as they mature, that those behaviors will be reflective of that which is their foundation that comes from the Bible. So yeah, it's been a not always been a high school here at Arcadia Christian, but we just
Mm-hmm.
started about 4 years ago. Graduated our first senior last year,
Wow.
and
Wow.
so it was a great celebration. It was only
Yeah.
one senior, but it was all good. There was one senior. She could say, "I'm the first graduate
Yeah.
of Arcadia Christian High School's
Put
80
put
year
my
legacy."
put my photo up on the wall. I was the
That's
first
right.
one,
But we
right?
got we have a statue of her. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but yeah, so
I
it's been
love it.
great.
Well, the reason
Been
I
great.
asked you, about that, that's very
Yeah,
interesting that you just started it's been 4 years since you started that. But what would you
yeah,
say is obviously parents, the kids that are in that sophomore, junior, senior level now,
yeah.
about to go to college? What would you say is parents, your school's
Ooh,
biggest concern right now with preparing them for college? Is there conversations you're having with parents that are how are you preparing them, or just the stresses of going through that college
yeah,
application process? Can you kind of just paint me the picture of how you guys help your students get ready and prepared for that?
yeah. There's we have a we call I call them the four basic questions. Okay, this
Okay.
is something that I taught when I was teaching teaching Bible, and created this. And these four basic questions kind of intertwine into our curriculum, but it helps our students to have a solid foundation, and we try to encourage that also with our parents
Mm,
as well, and build upon this. So these four questions: one is, how do you see the world created? Second is, how do you see human beings? Third is, how do you see life after death? And the
mm,
fourth one is, how do you determine right from wrong? Now, those
mm.
four basic questions lay down a foundation for anyone to go ahead and give an answer to, because once
Yeah.
again, everyone has a worldview.
Yeah.
And so that foundational questions are intertwined within our curriculum to prepare our students so that when they do graduate, that they themselves will be able to have a solid answer.
Yeah.
That there's a passage in the Bible, Colossians 2:8 says, "See to it that no one takes you captive through hollow and deceptive philosophies based upon the principles of this world rather than on Christ."
Mm,
That becomes important to us here at Arcadia Christian, because we want our students to have an answer for that which they believe.
yeah.
And so we really challenge our students to really be students of those four basic questions, and preparing them. Now, the parents, on the other hand, that's the challenge. And
Mm,
that's where, we've created a program called Infuse, which is,
mm.
we're just starting it this year. Matter of fact, in
Wow.
2 weeks, so if
Wow.
you're in Arcadia, come on over. We're going to be taking a look at is Christian education impacting culture, or is
Uh-huh.
culture impacting Christian education?
Ooh,
And
I like that.
we brought in brought a professor from Providence College, and a person from Azusa Pacific University, and we're going
Mm,
to be having a little discussion on that. And so we're trying to create opportunities for our parents to have
mm,
discussions and to understand the importance of Christian-based education, and it also stems back to this, Adam. Once again, it goes back to the parents of
yeah.
making sure that they themselves understand the importance of their own faith, and that they're growing in their faith and pouring into their children.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back again. I keep coming back to it, but it keeps going back to the father.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
father becomes the important aspect. There's a lesson I've taught my kids, whether it's my students or my daughters,
Hmm.
and I call them the 5 Ps. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So you ready?
Go for it.
Okay, here you go, Adam. Okay, 5 P's. Okay, this is a challenge to all fathers. So
Okay.
I know you can start taking notes on this, and I hope you have your paper out, Adam,
I'm
because you
ready to
better start
go.
taking
I'm
notes
ready.
on it, brother. Okay, here we go. The 5 P's. The first one is to be the provider of your home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that
Mm-hmm.
that means that you are working hard to go on
Yeah.
ahead and being that example, what it means to work hard.
Yeah.
You're providing for your family. You're putting clothes on the back, food on the table. I think that's our responsibility as fathers. The
Mm-hmm.
second one is to be the promoter.
Mm.
We are to be the promoter of our children. That means being their cheerleader. That means pushing them forward when they get up. It's all right. Come on, you're gonna make it. You're gonna be
Yeah.
fine. Promoting, lifting them up. The third one is protector.
Mm-hmm.
We are to be the protector of their homes, and the protector of our children because of the cultural aspects that are coming against our children. We have to protect them,
Yeah.
whether it's from the music, movies, videos, anime, whatever, that they're watching. We have,
Yeah.
as fathers, we have to be that protector of them, from
Mm-hmm.
culture. And then there's also that physical aspect also of being the protector too, and then the
100%.
last two I think are more important than anything else. And one is that we are to be the pastors of our home.
Mm.
That means we are to be the shepherds. The Latin word, for pastor is shepherd. That
Mm.
that means we are to control, not to control, but to guide and direct, our children and to really pastor them to be followers of Christ. And then the last one is to be the prophet
Mm.
of our children, of our homes, because as being a prophet, you're speaking God's word into their life. You're showing them, you're directing them, speaking the word of God into their lives so that they themselves will absorb that as well. Those are the 5 P's that are really, really emphasized with our boy students.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
also emphasize it with our girl students as well,
Of
so that
course. Of
they
course.
also, understand, the importance of that. And so those aspects, and then trying to incorporate that into the fathers that we have here on campus, so that they themselves understand the responsibility and role that they have as a spiritual leader in their home as
I
well.
love that. Is there any other like assemblies or programs you've held at your school for the fathers specifically of your students? Has there been anything that you've done?
Great question. Great question. This is why we started Infused.
No. Okay. Gotcha.
You know, that is, so we're going to eventually get there,
Yeah.
to a point. Right now, it's a matter of really trying to um, educate families the importance of Christian education
Yeah.
and why, Christian
Hmm.
education, because it is a
Hmm.
sacrifice. It is it's an extra cost. you
Yeah.
know it's not free. We don't get funds from the state.
Hmm.
It is tuition based, and so some families just come to a place like, why
Yeah.
why am I going to fork out this? Well, I could give you an argument for that, as to why. And so
Yeah.
that's what Infused is going to become, is really a place where we can start educating our families and really being a platform where we can speak into our families. Right now, we're dealing with education,
Hmm.
be dealing with, social or family lives down the road as well. That's the plan.
I love that. 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks out. We're almost there for that
2 weeks
first
out,
event.
yeah, yeah,
I love it, man. I
yeah.
love it. So many parents struggle to keep their teens engaged, and I could
Mhm.
just, especially if maybe even in the faith aspect of life, because it's
Yeah,
maybe this is boring. I don't want to sit here and listen to
yeah,
this. This isn't resonating with me. What are some ways that you? Because I mean, I remember there was going. I had religion classes too in Catholic at my Catholic high school I went to, and
yeah,
I had some really great religion teachers though, and so obviously it comes back to the teachers and how they can essentially grasp your attention and speak to these students in a way that they're going to understand and also appreciate and get them
yeah,
involved. What are some ways that you've kind of helped teens engage in their faith? I mean, I know you've mentioned a few things already, but let's just say someone's maybe a little bit reluctant to want to sit and learn this. What are some ways that you trying to get them excited about learning more about their faith? And um, yeah, that's kind of
yeah.
where I'm at. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, Adam, is living it out.
Mm,
You know, because we can go ahead. I can stand up there and do a Bible lesson, or I can at our convocations,
hmm
do a sermon on whatever.
Hmm.
But if I'm not living it out,
Hmm.
it becomes worthless.
Yeah.
And I think as I look back in working with young people,
Hmm.
those young people that maybe have sat back in the back row, youth group, or just kind of like whatever.
Hmm.
Um, when you start taking a look down to it, it comes to parents.
Yeah. Again.
You
Yeah.
know, um, parents have to live it out.
Yeah.
Parents have to not just only take their kid to church and drop them off, and then that's it, but the parents also have to live out their faith as well. And that goes
Yeah.
also with our teachers.
Mm.
I share with my staff, that kids are watching you. They're
Yeah.
watching you how you act. They're watching how you talk. They're watching how you interact. And it's just not only because they're a great literature teacher, a great math teacher, no, they're watching how you're reacting to certain situations, and are you really living out your faith?
Yeah.
That, I think, Adam, is really the bottom line when it comes to kids living out their faith.
Mm.
I have found out that kids that live out their faith are kids that have great examples in their lives and have
Mm.
embraced that have embraced a relationship with Christ because they've seen it lived out.
Yeah.
And I think that really resonates with a lot of my former students that I have. It was funny. There was I was in a convocation,
Mm.
and all of a sudden I got this FaceTime from these two former students of mine. I'm
Hmm.
going, who the heck is FaceTiming me during convocation? So I'm playing it off, and
Yeah.
what have you. So, anyways, I get done with the convocation and I contact them back, and it was two girls that had graduated back in the early 2000s. And
Okay.
they're going, Mr. LeBeau, we were just talking about you in your Bible class, and just some of the lessons that we learned about that, and just the impact that you shared and had on our lives. And it was
Yeah.
just out of the blue, Adam. It was a blessing. It was really cool to, and
That's awesome.
I hadn't seen them in probably about 10 years.
Wow.
That
Wow.
it was the last time that I had seen them. And it was neat, and you have those little connections throughout life that
Hmm.
that you've impacted with these kids' lives. Because like I've always, like I said, once again with my teachers, I always tell them, listen, you pour into your kids now, your students now, you're not
Hmm.
going to see the reward right now. It's going to
Yeah.
be 10 years down the road,
Right.
but you pour into them right now, and they're going to remember. They're going to
Yeah.
remember those lessons that you had. They're going to remember the pranks that you did. They're going to remember the fun stuff that you did, but they're going to also remember that, Christ was real in him,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
could trust him, and we
Yeah.
could trust Mr. Malone. I've had former students ask me to marry them,
Wow. That's cool.
which was
That's
an
awesome.
honor, you
That's
know.
awesome.
And so I really believe it's when we ourselves live out our faith
Hmm.
in our students' lives, they're going to see something different. I think those are the teachers that really made an impact in our students' lives. They made an impact in my life.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could probably think of teachers, right, that showed
Absolutely.
some interest into you, Adam, that was just like,
Hmm.
well, okay, but they had an impact on you. They left a message, and
Yeah.
and there's whether there's that communication or not, you can still get together with them or communicate, and I have teachers like that in my life that are elders in my life, they're mentors in my life now that I'm still in contact with, and I want to be that with our young people and really challenge our teachers to also do the same,
Yeah.
that they themselves pour into their students' lives.
Like I said, it's yeah. I had an honors anatomy teacher. I did not do very well in that class, but I definitely remember everything he did. He was just was. It's like I mentioned earlier. How they make you feel. How are you? How do you feel about them? How you're going
Yeah,
to remember them 10 years from now to be feel that comfortable to pick up the phone like some of your students are doing,
yeah,
calling you.
yeah.
It's that you're leaving that lasting impression on them. That
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this, Adam.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So
Hmm.
if you had the opportunity right now, brother, to go
Yeah,
ahead and say, what was his name?
Mr. Jason.
Mr. Jason. What would you tell Mr. Jason right now? Go ahead, right now. What would you tell him?
I would just say I don't remember a lot of the things you taught me, but I remember how you made me feel in the classroom. You made me feel seen, and when I was struggling, he took the time to pull me aside, made it fun, and helped me kind of adapt and learn and be a better student, even if it was something I wasn't fully into. I was never a science guy. I was always give me the camera, the more technical type of
Yeah.
person. But yeah, I just remember he was just a fun guy. He was
Mm,
always the guy at the games, like you mentioned,
yeah.
cheering on the teams, painting his face at the games, you know.
Yeah.
So it was just like
Yeah.
that. Like at this, I remember he mentioned we don't the teachers don't you don't want them to be your friend, but it was just kind of like that. After we graduated, I remember he would come over, and it was just like it's just a cool feeling. It makes you feel seen. It made me feel seen, and that was the thing
Right.
too. Is in a course that I struggled with, and most students be like, I hate this. I'm not. No, he was able to be like, hey, let's make this fun. Let's make this figure out how you're going to
Yeah.
retain this information. Even if I
Yeah.
was getting a C on the test, that was a huge win for me in that
Yeah.
class. But yeah, it's how they make you feel, and I think that's so important as a teacher to be able to take your students, speak to them in a way that they're going to understand, respect you, and ultimately get the most out of your class, even if it is a
Yeah.
subject that they're not fully into or
Yeah.
interested in. Make them get interested. Yeah.
What is one lesson then that you learned from him?
Oh man, you're flipping the script on me. Let's see. Um, Probably just never give up on yourself, and you
Mm,
have to lay down the foundations of the study habits. Like that was another
yeah.
thing. I had never written out more note cards in my life in his class, but that also was preparing me for college. Like there were
Right.
a lot of things preparing me for the future with my study habits. Maybe I wasn't gonna I knew I wasn't going to go and study anatomy and try to be a doctor, but or
Right.
anything like
Right.
that, but at the same time, just the skills, the study skills, and the thought, you can do it. You can do it. You
Yeah.
just gotta find ways to make it fun to retain the information for yourself. And so yeah, that would be my thing. Mr. Jason, shout out if you do
There you
hear
go.
this. I think actually today he still is a teacher at Tampa Catholic, and I graduated
Awesome, man.
in 2008, so it's been a while. So I'm sure that yeah, I think he's still there to this day. So that speaks a
Good
lot of volumes
job,
to him.
teacher.
Yeah, right.
Good job, man. Heck yeah. That's awesome, man. So then with
Yeah,
have you even applied that then in your own personal life then as, now that you're, are a dad and
yeah,
you're running a business and all that, have you
yeah.
applied those lessons to your life?
Absolutely. I'm trying. I'm certainly trying, especially just like the preparation aspect and
Yeah.
yeah, writing things down, a schedule. I've always kind of been the guy just to operate off my brain, but ever
Yeah.
since I've really picked up this working more full time with the Attitude Advantage and for Jesse and doing these, it's really kind of trained me to just be more organized and
Yeah.
stay on top of things. So,
That's cool, man.
but yeah, sheesh,
That's
man,
cool.
you got to give me a full interview now. I feel like I feel like I'm on the spot here, man. No, Ed, I appreciate you so much. I can't believe it's already been almost 40 minutes of us chatting. It's flown by. I have a couple more questions for you, and we'll let you get out of here.
Yeah.
Um, the first one is, well, I love to ask this to all our guests.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun one, and I know you've been in the education system for a long time. You're a dad. You're a grandfather now. If you could go back to 13, 14-year-old Ed and stand in front of him today, as you are now, and give 13-year-old Ed one piece of advice or one word of wisdom, after all that you've learned and everything you've been through in life, what would that be?
Mm. Ooh, that's deep, Adam. Dude. Wow. Thinking of that 13 years old. Hmm.
Yeah, just maybe about to go into high school or yeah,
I think I think the um the attitude of never giving up,
hmm
you know, um that really has been my motto, I guess you can say, is just always keep moving forward, never
yeah,
give up. Um, as I look back throughout the years, now you're making me do this in my head. Um, I think back of, the times of my life where maybe, there were shortcomings and obstacles,
hmm
but it was always a matter of me keeping moving forward.
yeah,
Um, I'm not going to take away, the relationship that I have with God in my life because that has always been a push for me. Seeing, brother, there's another passage in Scripture that says, brethren, I keep on pressing forward. Brethren, keep on pressing forward. Do not rely to what lies behind, but keep on pushing forward to what lies ahead.
yeah,
And that's always been really a motto for me as a young kid. Whether it
mm,
was in sports or whether it was in life,
yeah,
college, questions in life. It was just a matter of always keeping moving forward and really uh, if there was anything I could tell myself at 13 years old, was be that God's going to be faithful.
Yeah.
He's going to be faithful. You
Yeah.
just keep pressing forward, son. You
Yeah.
keep pressing forward. It's going to be tough sometimes, but you keep pressing forward. He's going
Yeah.
to be faithful. And I think that's what I would tell myself, and then give him a pat on the butt and say, okay, get going, guy,
Yeah.
and enjoy this life,
Love it.
because it has been it has been a wonderful life, Adam.
Love it.
You know, from my wife, children, to what I do, um, God is faithful.
Yeah.
It's been a cool ride. It's been a cool ride.
I love it, man. And that's something we in our program, we always say, hard things in life are going to happen to you. It's how you
Yeah,
respond with your attitude, and
yeah,
how are you going to pivot and keep moving forward, kind of like you said.
yeah,
So I love that, Ed. That's awesome. Ed, that's just great. I loved everything we've shared. The time's flown by. We could probably talk for another hour.
yeah. We're good, man.
I really appreciate you. It's has been really awesome. I think you've definitely shared a lot of little good golden nuggets here for our parents and our audience. And it's amazing what you're doing. Keep up the great work you're doing there. I
You
wish you
too,
luck on
brother.
this new program you're launching here in the next couple of weeks. I
Yeah,
think that's going to be great for fathers and just for everyone, all the parents. And I feel like a reoccurring theme in our conversation today has been, it all kind of comes back down to the parents and the family values, and how
that's
the
right.
parents are going to introduce these things to their teens and their children, and to
Yeah,
get them fire, get that, build that fire, and
that's
be
right.
that role model for them in their life.
It, it,
So
if there's anything before we close,
yeah.
if there's anything I can speak to the parents,
Hmm.
is also the parents. Don't give up on your kids.
Yeah.
Your kids are resilient young people. They just need somebody to believe in them,
Yeah.
and they need to learn it from you, not
Yeah.
just only from me as an educator.
Hmm.
Yes, I as an educator have an impact in your child's life. So as
Hmm.
I look back at my life, there are handprints on me of my educators that I can come to mind.
Yeah.
But the greatest influence in a child's life is their parent.
Hmm.
And that my parents that are out there, don't ever lose focus on that. Your children want to know, is this right or this is wrong? Even
Yeah.
if they go ahead and answer back in a way, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Be confident in that,
Hmm.
because your children are looking up to you. I always share with my daughters that, I take my girls out on dates. And I think that would be one of the best nuggets. This could be something, part two, whatever,
Yeah.
but taking your kids on dates is
Hmm.
awesome. I started with my children when they were younger, and even now as they've become adults and married, we're still going on dates. There's opportunities that we have to talk and communicate,
Hmm.
because once again, when I took my girls out when they were younger,
Hmm.
I knew that there would be one day some snot-nosed kid trying to influence their heart. But you see, I was the man that I wanted them to fall in love with first.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
that means I wanted them to understand that, open up the door for them, or,
Yeah. Just gonna say
how
that.
to
Yep.
treat them,
Hmm.
and that's why I believe that parents, we have an influence, a really great influence in our students' lives. And we
Hmm.
only have this amount of time to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't pour into them now, it's like a bank. Okay. If you have a bank, you put in your deposit, right? You keep putting in your deposit so that when the rainy day comes, you're able to withdraw. And it's the same things that we do with our children. We have to put
Hmm.
deposits into them. That means
Hmm.
listen to them, going, watching their games, listening, doing little things, whether it's a note, or telling them that I love them. We're putting deposits in them. So when the opportunities come for when they're having a hard time, or we
Hmm.
need to speak into their life, we're able to withdraw from them and say, listen, here, let me give you some advice. And they're
Yeah.
going to listen.
Yeah.
So really deposit, your life into your students' lives. You got this. Parenting is not for cowards. I'm telling you that right now. It is not for cowards. It is for parents. It is for people that want to pour into somebody's life. And for
Yeah.
this moment in time that you've been given, that God has given you, let me tell you, you have an awesome opportunity to speak into a young person's life, and it starts with you. It doesn't start with me. It starts with the parent.
Mic drop, Ed. That was amazing. I love it. That was great. That
So,
was awesome. Thank you, Ed, again so much for
all
your
right,
time.
brother.
I appreciate you very much. And yeah, looking forward to having our parents listen to this episode and get a lot out
Right
of it.
on.
Thanks
Hey,
again.
anytime, man. All
Appreciate you, Ed.
right. Have a good one, brother. Have a good
You
one.
too.
Take care.